Hey there, everyone. It's your friend Brad, and I'm here to talk to you today about Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuux's Beginning, the compilation pilot movie, I guess you could call it, that they put out for the new Gundam TV series starting here, I think in April, actually, they confirmed recently. So I was excited for this when it was announced. A little cautiously optimistic, I would say, as we got more details. A lot of this actually leaked because I think the Italian Gundam Info site like just published stuff way too early and people grabbed it before it all got taken down. So I kind of knew the deal of what we were getting here before we hopped in. Um, I'm going to be finishing off the soda as we do the little informal review here. So apologies for that, but God damn it, I'm thirsty. So I would say I was excited but a little bit skeptical. Um, my initial reaction when we first started to get details is, okay, do we really need to do an alternate take on the original Gundam? Semi related to this, me and my friends Julian and Mark watched the first half of Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, which came out on Netflix, I think last fall. And between that and then also me reading and catching up with the Gundam Thunderbolt manga, I think I'm just a little fed up with the 1 Year War nostalgia type stuff that Sunrise is forever stuck in, treating us UC fans to. Don't get me wrong, I love me some original Gundam 0079, but it gets to a point where they're making so many of these spin off stories, and it just really feels like there's nothing of substance there, and it feels like a lot of it is people mashing their action figures at each other and kind of just feels like a nostalgic cash grab. So going into this, I was a little bit concerned about that. And I was like, okay, is this going to be just another bit of that? I also wasn't really feeling the mobile suit direction in terms of design, and I think that's maybe the one part of this that I'm not won over on just yet. But I will say that story wise, I do think this movie justified itself to me as, okay, this is why Char is here. This is why Chalia Bull is suddenly a fucking important character and like a guy that we need to care about beyond just being that one guy we use to kind of explain new type stuff, and then he dies, and he gets a little bit more to do in the novelization, which you should read, by the way. If you haven't read that original Tomino Gundam novelization, you should buy that. I'm pretty sure it's still pretty accessible, and it's a good read if you're a fan of 0079. I think it's a critical text that you should have in your library. It's a wonderful little experience if you're curious what Tomino's vision of what 0079 could have been without studio interference and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, as this went on, I kind of softened my heart, I would say, from going like, okay, I don't really know if we need to focus this much on the original Gundam nostalgia stuff. But this really, well and truly, is I would say a lovingly crafted fanfic alternate continuity almost of what the original Gundam could have been, with just a little bit twisted around. They have fun with it. There's a lot of cool callbacks with, shots being recreated with like a slightly different context, with who it involves, and a lot of the old music cues are there. You got the bangers like Gallant Char and Espionage in Enemy Territory playing, and I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. So it was cool. It was really cool. I really thought that. So this movie, without spoiling too much, this movie is split into two halves. The first one follows Char, and kind of like an alternate branching history of what could have happened in the original Gundam series. And what happens, basically, the initial pitch is what would happen if Char was there with the initial three Zaku team that gets into Side 7, and what if he got his hands on the Gundam. And then it kind of shows what happens throughout the course of the 1 Year War beyond that. And then the second half introduces us to the main cast of the TV show proper, and how they get involved in an illegal mobile suit, like underground battling ring that the Junker Union seems to have put together after the 1 Year War. So, um, yeah, I genuinely liked this a lot more than I thought I would. I thought, I was kind of like, okay, we'll see going into this how I feel. Aesthetically, I think it's great. Again, I don't really know if I care for the mobile suit design, but I love the character designs in this. I actually think they managed to merge the classic 0079 designs, kind of retooled to fit with the rest of the take on the world, with the new cast really well. And Gundam's kind of always been about, at least Universal Century has been about that generational divide between the old and the new. And I think that we get a pretty effective characterization of that, just with how the characters from the classic show are drawn versus how the new cast are drawn. I think it's kind of neat how they have that dichotomy just in the designs here. There's like definitely kind of like a cheery, upbeat, kids being kids vibe. There's like cool graffiti walls and stuff like that. They do a really good job of showing colony life in this one. I always love when we get that, like even in like Zeta, Double Zeta, sometimes you get these really cool shots of just what it's like in the slums, right, of the colonies, and how they kind of fall into disrepair, and what it's like to live as a space noid. And you get a lot of cool stuff like that in this movie too, where you kind of see like, okay, these colonies definitely have some areas where, you know, it's refugees trying to scrap together shelters to get by and stuff like that. And they kind of do a good job of exploring that angle of things in a way that I wasn't really expecting, but I appreciated. Um, I am so curious how I'll feel about this TV show. I'm excited. I'm more excited than I was before I walked into this movie. I'll say that. I think that at no point does this movie get too tied up in the past, which is what I was concerned about. I think that there's enough of a focus on this clan battling mobile suit thing that is the main premise of the show. It has its own unique culture to it. They also talk about, like, there's this unique pair strategy called Mav, which Shar and Shalia Bull pioneered, which is very funny. And it's they talk about how, like, culturally that went from being like a Xeon mobile suit, like, space warfare strategy, down to like a 2v2, like, underground battle, like, subculture thing. It's really cool. I think that this is a lot more imaginative than I would have thought, just going into it. And yeah, I don't know. The music is just wonderful. I really like the main theme, Plasma. The OST, what they've released of it, I listened to before watching this, I will admit, and I went, okay, this is pretty cool. But even just seeing it in practice with the visuals and what scenes they're accompanying, I think the music does a really great job of kind of keeping with, like, that really cool youthful energy that I really appreciated with the second half of this movie. I don't want to really go into spoilers, I think, yet, just because I want to give you all a chance to watch this yourself, and I don't really think I actually have too much more to say, but I am so curious what they're going to do with a lot of the 0079 stuff that they hint at in this movie. In particular, I am really curious what they do with two of the prominent women pilots from the original series that are gestured towards in the opening scenes of this movie, and we get some hints and teases of, but don't really get much more of. And I'm curious if they're going to play. Well, one of them I'm pretty sure is going to be a central figure that is going to be a shadow looming large over the entirety of this movie, or sorry, entirety of this TV series. And then the other one, I'm curious if she's going to come back from the prologue. Um, I guess I'll say it's. I don't know. I don't even want to say because it's probably saying too much. But we see a pilot in the prologue, and everyone in the theater gasps because it's like, oh, that's someone we recognize. And I'm curious what she's going to be doing in the series proper if she shows up again. I hope she does, because that would be interesting to explore, I would think. Um, but yeah, I think that this is really good, I would say, so far. I hope the series sticks the landing for me. I am one of those people that I think that which was mostly good. I would give it like I'd say probably about a B if I had to give it a letter grade. But I do think towards the end it went from an A down to a B for me, because I think that G-Witch had a problem where it introduced a lot of really interesting ideas, and I think it gave its antagonists and some of its supporting cast some really interesting worldviews and ideologies that I don't necessarily know if they have the time to fully explore to the degree that I would have wanted them to. And it kind of lost me towards the end there just because I'm like, you had so many good ideas on the whiteboard, but you just didn't really follow through with a lot of them. There's a lot of stuff in there I like, but there's a lot that I'm like, okay, some of this feels like it gets wrapped up a little too neatly, and I think that maybe the setup and the exploration was more exciting than the conclusion. And I don't know how long GQuuuuuux is going to be, but I could see that possibly being the case here as well. I hope they manage to stick the landing on this, and there's some cool stuff that they do with the state of the Earth sphere, and how it's governed post what happens in this version of the One Year War. And I'm really curious to see what they do with the state of the colonies and how they're uh, kind of governed at this point in history, and what they do with the Earth Federation if they get involved in all that stuff. And obviously the Principality of Xeon. So yeah, I don't know. I liked this. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling stuff that I liked about this, but overall, yeah, I would say this is a thumbs up for me. Um, I can't wait for that TV show. I genuinely don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with this. It's kind of exciting to be at this point where it feels unpredictable what direction they could go. But that I think that's kind of to its credit with how inventive and creative of a take I do think this is on that traditional Gundam One Year War stuff. In a way that this almost feels like it could be an alternate universe Zeta, which I hope they lean into more. That's one thing I really wish Sunrise would do more often is give me more of that Zeta and Double Zeta stuff if you're gonna do a big nostalgia fest, right? So I'm sure that over time we'll get some of that stuff. There's a little bit of Shar's counterattack throwback stuff in here too, which was fun. So I'm sure we'll get more Universal Century nerd bullshit. But we'll see how much they lean into it. I was kind of sad. Cameron Bloom shows up in this movie, and I was the only person in my theater who laughed when he showed up, and I was like, oh, come on, guys, it's Cameron Bloom. We're not going to laugh about that, but, it is what it is. But yeah, I hope you check this out if you have the opportunity to, and, if you watch this in theaters as well, let me know what you thought. I'm curious to see how people are feeling about this. I feel like overall, most of the people I've been seeing are pretty up on it, even if they were, like me, maybe a little bit trepidatious going into it, so... yeah, let me know your thoughts, and have a good one, and hopefully I'll see you soon with more video stuff. Have a good one. Bye.